Today, I'm joined by Joab Wheatley from Generation Fitness, a company he founded back in 20. Joab is a fitness instructor. He goes around to care homes and he gets elderly people moving and active. The reason why I found Joab is because some of his videos had gone viral from the exercises he was doing. We'll talk about those in a bit. It's really interesting and I think a great time to speak to somebody like Joab because a lot of conversations in the care sector at the moment are about how we get younger people interested in social care. We have an aging population and we have a younger generation that isn't necessarily interested in this line of work. So there's a problem on the horizon. But then you get characters like Joab who are here. The videos are so heartwarming, like the games he's playing with these elderly residents and the joy on their faces. We're going to talk about that in the episode. But for now, Joab, thanks for coming on the show.
No, I really appreciate it. I just want to say as well, like this is my first ever podcast that I've been on, so I want to thank you for that opportunity. I'm just really excited for what we've got to chat about today.
Great. Oh, I'm glad I'm your first podcast.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you knew that. I wanted to put that out there to you.
This will be fun. Okay, so tell me about your backstory. What made you want to start Generation Fitness?
Yeah, so it all started, obviously, I did the usual school, college, university, setup. And then I got to my third year at university. Always wanted to be a PE teacher. I've always been into my health and fitness ever since I was a little lad. And then I kind of just went off that idea slightly of being a PE teacher. And then I thought, well, what am I good at and what do I enjoy? And ever since I've been growing up, my close mates have always said to me how good I am with my grandma in terms of we used to like go out to like the pub and things like that. My grandma would give me a call, say she needs some cherry tomatoes, can I pick her some up? And I'd literally just say, right, lads, I'm leaving now. I'll be back in an hour. I'm literally just going to pick my grandma something up. And yeah, so I've always had a real special bond with my grandma. And everybody's always seen that, obviously, like my mom, my dad as well. And I just sat there one night and I said to my mom, like, I've kind of gone off the idea of being a PE teacher. What do you think, what other things is there? And like I just mentioned about piecing things together, I did that. The real special relationship I've got with my grandma and just loving health and fitness. And she says, well, there's like care homes about. And to me, being a young person, just as you've touched on the opening, I'd never really heard of care homes, to be honest. So when I just typed in care homes on the internet, they all just started popping up and I couldn't believe how many there was so locally. I mean, there was one literally up the road, turn right, and there was a care home there. And I've never seen it. I just walked past it when going to school and things like that. And yeah, I just couldn't believe it, and that's when, because this is around COVID time as well, that's when the journey then began because I didn't have anything else to do. I was at university. I couldn't actually go into university because, as I mentioned, this was during COVID times. So I just started offering free classes, and things just started to snowball really for me.
Wow, free classes as well. That's a really generous use of your time. I know there's not as much to do during the pandemic, but
Yeah.
yeah, fair
I've
play.
seen I've seen some of the videos, so I was sending videos out to care homes, and I look back at them like about a couple of months ago now, and I just couldn't believe I couldn't believe watching myself back because I was just obviously so much younger, and it felt a little bit cringy watching it and the things that I was saying. But people gave me opportunities, and it was completely free. Yeah, I remember running my first ever one, and that care home was the one that was up the road, turn right. I ran it outside just for 4 or 5 residents, and I remember the lady just saying, "You've got a gift here. Like what you've just done for our residents, I don't think you genuinely understand yet." And obviously those words just sank in a little bit, and then I went to other classes, and again it was all for free. It was outside, it was weather dependent, and I can see some footage now in my head where I was stood behind a big fence, but the fence had like lots of holes in, so I could just about see the residents. And yeah, when I think back to that now, I think I did really well, because if I tried to do that now, it'd be much more difficult. But yeah, no, so that's where it all really began.
So you was sending videos of yourself leading a class, talking to camera to care homes, saying, "Oh, what did you do?"
Yeah, so I literally just set up my camera, my iPhone, and I just pretended that there was residents behind the camera, I did like a bit of an introduction, but then I said, right, this is what you can expect. And then I put some music on in the background, and
Yeah.
then music related to their era as well, that we still obviously do. And then I was just running the exercises. And to be honest, I don't think I've actually ever told anybody that. But yeah, now it's out there for the world, I guess.
That's no, that's awesome because so many people think they can't go out and do something. They think they need, help in this way and that way before they can, achieve step one. But
Yeah.
you just took your phone and sent a video and said, "Here's what you're going to get." Like, that's a powerful story, man. I think that's awesome.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that's how you started, and you went and you were giving free classes, and then you decided at some point you're like, "I'm going to make a business out of this."
Yeah, yeah.
What was happening there?
Yeah, so obviously word of mouth got out. So I was doing it for free. Obviously, you can imagine the care homes just like, yeah, we want a bit of this. Then we hit the second lockdown, and that's when one of the care homes offered me some stability during university because obviously I wasn't earning anything from that. Like I say, it was completely free. They said, "Do you want to be our activities coordinator?" And at first, I remember them asking me, and I was so excited. Didn't really know what the activities coordinator was, so I typed it in when I got back home. And yeah, so within a day, I took the job, and I just remember thinking, for me now, because I know what I want to do after I've done all these free classes, this is going to be a great way to experiment with different things. I've got a vast variety of residents to trial different activities, different approaches because it was a nursing home, so we had people living with dementia, we had Parkinson's, there was just all sorts in the home. Some people near end of life, so they're just in bed and things like that. And I thought this opportunity, like it's going to be great for me. I'm just finishing my studies, so I took that, and obviously I spoke to the manager about that, and she said like obviously it'll be part time, and they was okay to it. And I always said from the start, yes, like this is what I'm going to do for now, but when things open back up, I am going to revert back to the exercise. And they were brilliant with me. They helped me along with the process, and they did. And as soon as things opened back up, they just let me go straight away, which was obviously very very kind of them.
Um, okay, that's a really cool story. All right, so I guess I'm interested as well into like, what's the effect that you're seeing your exercise has on the people that you work with?
Yeah, so more so to do with the games that we're, like you mentioned, our videos that we've been posting out. I really saw the benefits, and this was only like a couple of months ago now. I remember we did this one game, and I was there in the flesh, and I could see this lady, well, one enjoying herself, but really, really putting in as much effort as she possibly can. The video's out there for people to look at. Basically, they was just holding a piece of cardboard, and they was using the cardboard as a fan to knock the ball off the
Yes,
table.
I saw
And I
this.
just remember looking at her, and I said to Alex, one of our full-time instructors, this is this is it. This is what it's about. Look how hard she's working and how much fun she's having. And she even said at the end of it, she said something along the lines of all that effort for nothing because she missed the target. But she obviously knew herself. Like the effort that she was putting in was fantastic. And I think when you mention exercise to care home residents, a lot of them the first things they think is no, that I don't want to do that. I'm 80, I'm 90 years old. I don't want to get involved with that. But then when you kind of just ask them to come and join in with an activity, this, yeah, well, we say the words activity, they come over straight away. They can see people getting involved, people helping each other, people giving each other tips. It's amazing when you see everybody just form as like I always like to say it's like one big happy family. And yes, so those are those games that we're doing, and we're trying to think of more each week, trying to we really put our heads together, which is the reason we have a group chat between us instructors, because obviously, as I mentioned to all our instructors, I don't know the answers to everything. So if we put our heads together, we're going to make our classes best classes possible for our care home residents.
Do you find, every Christmas there's those games that go viral that like everyone's playing with their family. Do you ever like bring some of those in?
Yeah, I saw one the other day, and I thought, I wish we could do this. And it was when there was like tying a tissue box round to their back to their bum, and they was like twerking. and they was trying to get the ping pong balls out on the floor. I thought that would be great, but obviously, as you can imagine, most of the residents
Yeah.
there in their chairs. I mean, there is the odd few that I think could do it. But stuff, yes,
Oh,
for
that'd
the
be great.
Christmas games when I see them, there's some absolutely brilliant ones out there.
And then so like what's your thought process when you're creating these games then? Because it's not, it's not a star jumps and squats and running on the
Yeah,
spot. It's something that I used to be a personal trainer back in the day myself. So I'm seeing the games that you're playing and I'm going, oh, these are great motor skills. This
yeah.
must be great for the brain health as well as the physical health.
Yeah. So I always think of things like, so how can we improve like reflectiveness, reactions, their coordination, and then what sort of games can we involve? And the games that we do, there is some games that the equipment is quite costly, but we try and think of games that hopefully care homes can then see and just do themselves. So they haven't got to necessarily have us come in straight away to run these games. Can we give care homes games to actually get their residents involved? We've seen some great videos on social media. A care home that only mentioned us yesterday, actually, and they said that they've been watching our videos and they tried it with the residents and they collaborated with us in terms of they invited us to collaborate on Instagram to show us what they was doing. And I thought that's amazing. Like they was just outside of London, where we're not at the moment, and they was getting their residents moving. So yeah, we think of games, we think of how it's going to benefit them, and then we start trialing them in care homes. And then once we've trialed them, we then push them out to all our instructors so that they then can affect their residents as well.
Interesting. How many instructors do you have?
So there's 8 of us at the moment, including myself.
Yeah, that's okay. That's awesome. So do you like is your vision then to have more instructors all around the country or do you want to keep it local? What do you want to do?
No, no, definitely not. Keep it local. I've always had that vision from the start that I want this to be nationwide, and I've got it in writing. I see it like most days, obviously, that this is what we're going to achieve, and it's quite weird as I say this I say this a lot to my partner. I say I'm not so much worried about when it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen because I know me and I know how hard I want to work, and when I see these care home residents locally to myself, or when I go to other classes with our instructors, I can see the work that we're doing in care homes and the benefit that it is for them. I just know that in time that we will be across the whole of the UK.
I don't doubt that after I mean seeing your passion when you talk about it, but also after seeing your videos because so I first came across you because one of your videos had gone viral. I think it went viral on TikTok, but maybe you shared it on LinkedIn.
Yes, yeah.
Tell me about like this tell me about the video and why you think these are resonating with people so much.
Yeah, so the video obviously is in a care home local to myself. And it was one of these games. So the game was we had a cardboard box with a cutout of a circle, and they had to try and move the cardboard box up and down to try and get the ball to land. Well, just to go out the cardboard box. And we normally start off with about 5 to 6, and when it gets down to that last one, that's when it starts to take 20 to 30 seconds for that resident to get it down. And the lady was having a laugh. You could clearly hear her chuckling to herself because she just found it so funny that she couldn't get that one last book down. We zoomed in on that just to obviously try and get people's more attention on the actual video. And then, yeah, we just reposted it and we just started getting lots of views, lots of comments, people just saying how nice it was. And to be honest, obviously, if you're in the social media world, there's a lot of negativity out there. But this video, I don't think had one negative comment on there. And what it led to was a lot of people asking, "What care home is this?" Or "We'd like you to come to our care home," and all these different questions. And that's the power of social media. And I've been doing social media now for 3 to 4 years, and I'm no social media expert. I've just been trying to learn along the way and enjoying the process as well. I think a lot of us can get caught up on trying to blow up within a couple of weeks or a month. But if you're just passionate about your work and you want to show that off, then I'm sure over the long run you'll end up getting success. Really.
I agree. I've seen you've been really consistent on there too. And I guess what's interesting to me is I mean how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. No, I've just turned 24.
24. And I think there are what you've done on social media with these videos is so heartwarming, and I think it changes the narrative on what it means to work in social care. You make it. I try to figure out how I'm going to like piece all my thoughts together. But every time I have this talk about young people not being attracted to social care and we need more young people in, I always say I feel like there is something a much more profound, like fulfilling element to this work that isn't being translated. It's
Yeah,
being translated as like just taking care of people who are maybe sort of like unhappy and not very active and quite dull, and it's just a boring job. But you're showing a side of it that like to it's I'm not being articulate. I'm not being articulate because I keep picturing the videos of like, what a wonderful thing to do.
yeah,
So I imagine there are lots of young people as well who would consider this now and who
yeah.
might, I'd hope that they might reach out to you, especially those with like a fitness background. But I suppose you don't need like a, like a degree in personal training to be able to
No,
run these games. You need to be a
no.
caring person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think, what kind of person does it take to do something like you're doing?
Like you say, just kind, caring, loving. They've got patience. That's obviously definitely a big thing, especially the more a resident has like issues. For example, when they're living with dementia, it's important to be patient with them, because sometimes the ways that they're acting or the things they might say they don't necessarily mean. And I can't agree anymore with you in terms of getting younger people involved in this sector. And I feel like the word's starting to get out a tiny bit more, especially with our social media accounts, the amount of messages we have, and they're young people saying how much, one, they're enjoying our videos, two, how did we get into this, three, how do they get into it? Really putting a focus on the care sector. And that's why we have a partnership with a local university. So I think it's around twice a year, they'll send us some students on a sports course to come and like shadow over our work and get involved. So we're obviously putting eyes for those young people to see what we're actually doing in the care homes. And every time they come, I always ask them beforehand, have you ever been into a care home? 9 times out of 10, the answer's no. And I say, okay, so we'll take you in for these next 6 weeks. And by the end of it, I think they had one vision, like myself being a PE teacher, and then they come out with a completely different vision. And it hasn't necessarily got to be within a care home. It could just be in like the care sector in terms of like home care service. Like we have like physiotherapists. They might be physiotherapists for those service users. It doesn't just have to be care homes, but that's what we want to do. We want to shine a spotlight on the care sector because it's a brilliant place to work. We meet so many amazing individuals, and residents wise it's such a rewarding job. And I think that's the thing that most people say, is it rewarding? And all you have to do is send them that video and you can see their smiles and stuff, and we say yes, it's rewarding.
Yeah. Can you talk to me then? You mentioned like patients and dealing with residents that have dementia in these games. Can you talk to me about like what are some of the challenges there and how you address them?
Yeah, so obviously every day we're coming across different challenges. Obviously every resident, every person's unique, so it's trying to figure out a way how they can get involved, whether it's the way that we're trying to get them involved. So a good example of this, one of our activities, it's nice and easy to explain. You've got a table. I'll have a ping pong ball. I'll bounce the ping pong ball off the table. They've got to move the hand to catch the ping pong ball in a cup, in a cone, or something like that. Now, initially at first, if I've got that ping pong ball and I'm bouncing it, they don't necessarily, sometimes they might not necessarily know that they've got to catch it. They might try and, a bit like ping pong, give it a smack it back. So what we sometimes try and do is we reverse it. So they'll throw the ping pong ball because they 9 times out of 10 enjoy throwing something at you. So they'll throw the ping pong ball off the table. You'll catch it. You'll do it three to 5 times. Then you'll give them a cone. You'll give them the cone. You'll ask them if they want to go, and then they end up doing it. But if I started off the way I was doing initially with other residents, for example, they wouldn't join in as such. So it's sometimes trying to reverse what we're actually doing, and to try and find a way to get them, and trying to keep things as, in a sense, as simple as possible. So, like for example, the one I mentioned near the start with just fanning using the cardboard for them exercising, just them moving their arms. Simple things like that that they don't necessarily see as exercise, just something to do, just something as fun to then get them to exercise.
Right. So you're finding play that people just
Yeah,
want to engage in, and you're turning that play into something physically strenuous. So they're
yeah,
exercising, but also with other people that find it harder to engage cognitively, you're simplifying that or reverse engineering it into the thing that they're
yeah,
familiar with. So they'll be
yeah,
familiar with throwing rather than catching in a cup.
yeah.
That's really interesting.
I think
Okay,
that's the
go on.
key thing, really, and that's what we like to try and when people ask us this question, can we do your traditional exercises? Yes. Can we use the resistance bands or the pads? Yes. Anybody can do that really. You can put some bags on the carers and the residents will do it. But with residents that are living with dementia or residents that are living with other things, using playful activities is 100% the way forward. I've been in classes where I've started the class as a normal class, and then I quickly realise this class isn't the same as the one I've just done. This is completely different. So how now? This challenge is now. How am I going to get these residents involved? Because everybody needs to move. Everybody should have the right to express themselves and move their bodies physically for their physical benefits and their mental benefits. So how can we get them to move in a like that we're doing with all the other care homes? And that is through a playful state. So playing these games because they're not seeing it as exercise, which is the bonus. I mean, if somebody came to me and started doing one of our games, I wouldn't think, oh, I'm doing exercise here. I'm just having fun with other residents around me. So the power of play is like it's really important in care, in my opinion, anyways.
Can you tell me a bit about the social element as well? You mentioned earlier, once a game starts going, you'll see other people join. So what's the effect that it has on the atmosphere and the social connections in the homes?
It's so hard to explain, but when you're there in the moment, the way everybody just comes together, it's like a football match. They're all on the same team. They're all cheering each other on. They're all giving each other pointers on because they've just had a go. Maybe they haven't done so well, but then they've passed it on to the next person and they've said, "Try doing this instead." And then that person tries it. It might not go as well, but they're just passing on knowledge to each other. You're going around the room and everybody's watching each other engaging because obviously when you think of exercise class you think right, they're going to be moving for the whole time, but they're also watching each other and helping each other in these games, and it's so nice to see. And I always like to use that word, it makes them like a big family. I think it's just a real nice way to look at a care home. And you sometimes go in care homes and you walk out and you think, you know what, that care home's really got that family feeling in there. When I walk in, I can really feel that between the residents, and it is so beautiful. And I think these games unlock that as well. If I go back to your traditional exercises in terms of just your punching pads or you're lifting your arms up and down, obviously it's great for them, but the residents aren't going to be helping each other or pushing each other on as much. But when you involve these games, they really do give each other pointers and things to try next time, which is beautiful to see.
What's really interesting as well, you said initially you wanted to be a PE teacher,
Yeah,
and that's obviously dealing with like the youngest of generations.
yeah.
But a lot of that work is done through play as well.
Mm.
What do you think is going on there? There's like this big relationship with play. You see real value in it, that other people are maybe missing when they're going, oh, we need to do a functional exercise, so we should do a squat or a lunge.
Yeah,
Not fun necessarily, unless you're really into it, and you want to like get
yeah,
a new
yeah,
PB, then you've got a goal. But with these games, I suppose, I don't know. I guess like you see the best of people, and you see people engage and let go of their inhibitions. Like, what is it? What are you looking for when you're playing?
yeah. So, like you say, exercise is different for everybody. I might enjoy doing the squats and things like that, but I know there's more people out there that don't enjoy doing squats. So how can we get those people involved? And if I go in and I just start doing these traditional exercises or getting them to just like, for example, a real beneficial one for care home residents, depending on mobility, is just doing their sit to stand. But how can we make that a bit more enjoyable? So whether that's just standing up and then doing a few punches and then sitting back down, or standing up and then throwing a ball, or putting a sequence together, how can we just make it so that it's not just I'm standing up and then I'm sitting down? So what we really look for is how the residents are reacting to the activity that we're putting on. What sort of things are they talking about between each other? Is there a certain activity that they're enjoying more than another activity? And if so, why is that activity more beneficial than the other one? Is it just because of the set of residents, or so you've got to try it in another home and then maybe another one, so that we can back up evidence to see how important these activities are and what is the most beneficial way? And again, it all comes down to just making them laugh, making them smile, having fun, being relaxed about things. And I mean, it just proves in how many residents are coming down to the classes and what they're saying after the classes. And there's nothing better than when you walk out of class and you can just hear the residents chatting, and they just say, those people, they don't necessarily know our names, but those people, they were just wonderful, aren't they? They're just so not such nice people. And when you walk out and you hear those sort of comments, you just think like, wow, like this is rewarding. Let's get to the next class and make those residents feel exactly the same, and let's keep doing that every single day.
Yeah. So, like, what kind of things do you see? What's the difference fundamentally between a care home that has residents that may be harder to engage compared to a care home that has residents that are just ready to dive in from the first time you walk in?
Yeah. What sorry, I'll start again. I'm sorry.
So, you'll have some care homes where the residents are much more difficult to engage,
Yeah.
and some where the residents are just on it from day one.
Mhm.
What are the main differences you see? I guess the reason why I ask is because I'd like to know, what can care homes do
Oh,
to
okay. Yeah.
get their
Yeah.
residents more engaged into this
Yeah.
kind of play?
I think letting the residents know. In some cases, you'll go into a care home and the residents don't actually know that we're here to run an exercise class. So preparing the residents, and that doesn't mean that we're asking care homes to just make sure everybody's in a circle or a square formation. They can just sit them in the lounge. That's no problem. We always work around these sort of things, but just letting them know what's actually going on. And obviously, with depending on the residents, whether that's just like 2 minutes before they're saying, right, somebody's coming in to run exercise classes. And also, quite a big thing for us. And again, we try and work around this as much as we possibly can. But like sometimes you can go in, they can have their cups of teas and their biscuits. Now, if you ask me, what would I rather do, exercise or have a cup of tea and a biscuit and watch the TV? I'm gonna say I want to watch the TV and have a cup of tea and a biscuit. So just little things like that, and obviously we know how important fluids are, so we always just move their tables to the side of them, just so they've got that cup of tea, so they can, when we're playing these sort of games, what we can be with one or two people, the others can be watching, drinking their cups of teas, getting their fluids on board. Because as fitness professionals, we know how important fluids are when they've got like biscuits and stuff in their hand. And there's some care homes that are great. They never have them out when they know we're coming. Or they'll wait, and that you can hear the tea trolley, and we'll always say, right, obviously you're eating that cup of tea now and that biscuit. You can hear it coming in, and they have that. So yeah, just get prepared so they understand what's going on. And sometimes you'll see schedules, which is fantastic. Sometimes you'll see they've got posters of us up saying that we're coming in on this date. And I think it looks good then for the relatives to see that this is what they've got going on. As soon as you go into the reception, you've got a poster to say Generation Fitness comes in every Tuesday. And yeah, just little things like that. Like you say, you've got some care homes that they're ready to go. The residents are waiting for you, and then you've got others, and you'll have to spend time trying to get the residents motivated and ready. Which is then why we'll use these games of play to entice them into joining to start off with, and then we can start doing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
So, like, what would you say? What advice would you give to a younger person who is not even interested in care, but it's an option for them, maybe something they could look into? What would you tell them?
I'll tell them to watch our social media pages. Definitely. What else would I tell them? Definitely if they're in like their school era, work experience era, whether they're at university, even if you don't want to go necessarily to work into care or you're completely against it, the experience that you'll gain with talking to the residents is astronomical. For example, there's one gentleman and he's 106. You can speak to him like anybody else. He's completely fine, and he's 106. And when you speak to him, it's beautiful. He tells you all the stories. He can tell you all the stories that you want, life experiences, the things that you'll gain from them. Like myself, I was a young lad going in to do an activities role. I was stepping outside my comfort zone in terms of I was doing bingo. I was doing all these sorts of different activities with the residents, and my confidence as a person shot up. You just shot up for the roof. I've always been fairly confident in like school, college, university. Always been like obviously into my sports, and that's what people would know me as. But going into an environment where I was pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Yes, I love my grandma, but now I'm dealing with like 20, 30, 40, 50 different people, and how am I going to how am I going to adapt to that? But I would say just try it, because you'd be pleasantly surprised, like I am myself. You can take any route. People might just look at it as you're going to be a carer. There's so many different job roles within the care home, like industry and community. It could be stuff to do with like digital marketing, working your way up to be like a manager, regional manager. There is so much opportunity. So I would definitely say just if you can get any work experience in there or volunteer in there just on a Sunday or something, I know care homes will be ready to open their doors.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm speaking to a lot of people at the moment, from like HR directors to recruiters that are really interested in getting young people into care. And I think maybe we should definitely make sure that you're in contact with them too, because your story will be really inspiring for them. It'll be great. It'll be great
Well,
to have more.
put it this way, sorry, just to cut you off. When I was in school, I hadn't even heard of care homes, to be honest. Like, and obviously we're talking. This was school 10 years ago, 9, 10 years ago. I hadn't heard of care homes. I didn't know what a care home was. And when I asked these university students that we're linked with, have you ever been into a care home? They'll all say the same sort of thing. They don't even know really about care homes. So unless they've got a relative that have gone into a care home, or they're coming across social media pages, which is now becoming a lot more popular in terms of care homes. Care homes are starting to jump on that social media pages, which is obviously fantastic to see, because it is so, I believe anyways, it is so big for them to be doing. A lot of people, a lot of younger people aren't necessarily seeing care homes. Like I mentioned at the start, there was one up the road to the right of me, and I'd never noticed, and I walk past it for school
Yeah.
every single day. So how, like you say, yeah, how can we push it into people's eyes and talk about it more? Can people go into these schools or universities or colleges and talk about the care sector and what a brilliant place it is to work?
And I'm the same as you. It wasn't until I started working in the care sector did I start driving around my town going, "Oh, that's a care home.
I know,
Oh, another care home."
I know. It's quite scary because obviously all my best friends and that know what I do, and they couldn't believe how many care homes there was locally in our area until I started working within the care industry. And I get that many messages. Oh, did you know there was a care home here? Did you know there was a care home there?
Mm,
So obviously now I do, but we didn't back then.
that's awesome. There's so many for you to go and work in.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, look, that chat was really great, Job. I really appreciate that. Where can people find you? If people listen to this now and go, I want this guy in my home. Where should they look?
Yeah, so obviously you can look for myself on LinkedIn. If you want to look at the work that we're doing in the care homes, we've got a Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got YouTube. If you just type in Generation Fitness, you'll be sure to find us. You'll be sure to find some of our amazing videos that we've been putting out.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate
Cheers.
it.
All right. Have a good one.